This January 2022, Line Webtoon had launched 6 new series under 2 special events. The first event features webtoons with characters based on South Korean boy bands. This one is with BTS. Then this is with ENHYPEN. I'm sorry if I pronounce it wrong. Then the last is with TXT. As you might have noticed, although I like listening to K-pop, I'm not really an avid fan. I'm familiar with BTS since they are very popular, but I've never really heard of the other 2 boy bands. Because of that, I don't really care which character resembles which idol since I don't recognize them anyway. So I just treat them like any other webtoon. I like the art style on this one the most. It's as expected from Red Eye Studio. It's also quite an unusual power fantasy series since I don't remember other webtoons with characters fighting against Korean mythical monsters called Byom before. However, character and story-wise, it's the least impressive among the 3, to be honest. This one is more decent when it comes to the characters and the story. Well, at least at the beginning, when I found out that it's using the reverse harem trope with pretty vampires, well, I might hate the trope, but none of the characters annoyed nor bored me too much yet. So, I'm giving it more chapters. But this one is the best among the 3. Well, in my opinion, I'll elaborate why when I discuss the top 10 because, yes, it's highly recommended. Of course, if you are a huge fan of a certain boy band that's featured in this event, you seriously don't even need to think about it. I saw a lot of fans being so excited to see the resemblances, which would be fun if you can relate to it. The second event features webtoons belonging to the PUBG universe, done under YLab. If I'm not mistaken, PUBG refers to this game. These 3 webtoons all tackle about a battle royale involving 100 players fighting to death on a certain island. This one is more of an action series, while this one is more like a thriller. Then the last one is more of dystopian sci-fi. Each of them is impressive, but among the 3, although I am more of a thriller fan, I had enjoyed reading this one the most. I'll elaborate when I discuss the top 10 later. Before we go to the list of top recommendations, I'd like to share with you guys these titles. They almost made it to the top list, but until now, I'm a little undecided on whether I'll drop them or keep them. First, we have Dark Moon, The Blood Altar. This reminds me of Vampire Knight, but has a bigger harem and hopefully less angst. Based on the synopsis, there are werewolf rivals in it. If that rivalry will have some action, then this will be interesting. Next, we have Hand Jumper. Although this is more of a thriller and action series, the sweet and romantic moments are the ones I like the most in its first few chapters. If the character, who seems to be the male lead, is dead, that would suck. But if not, maybe higher chances that I will continue this series. Next is Night of Silence. This one is by the creator of The World is Money and Power. I didn't like that one to want to read every chapter, but this new series might have a chance since it's pretty intriguing. But I'm not attached to any of the characters yet, including the main character. I hope she will turn out to be pretty impressive later. We'll see. Next, we have the retreats. At first glance, it's clearly by the artist of Distant Sky. I love Distant Sky a lot, but this one is a little too depressing for me. So, although the story is really intriguing, it just makes me so sad that I need to make myself emotionally stable to read this. Next, we have A Fake Affair. If you are a fan of the Princess Jellyfish or Kuragehime manga, then this is something you cannot miss since it's by the same creator. Anyway, that webtoon is okay. I already saw the ending, but I don't feel like reading the other chapters right now. I find it interesting and boring at the same time for some reason. Last in this batch, we have Side Characters Deserve Love Too. The female lead's obsession towards the male lead reminds me of this manhwa, but at least this one isn't as perverted. I'll find out after I read more chapters. Alright, without further ado, let's proceed with the top 10. At number 10, we have Level Up with the Gods. It's almost like a love child of Omniscient Reader and Solo Leveling, but it's still very different from the two. It contains lots of action fantasy tropes, which makes it appear even more unoriginal. But the story and its execution isn't so bad. It has comedy from time to time, and it has fun characters like this guy. I feel like I'm just reading this for their dynamic because without it, it feels less exciting. At number 9, we have Eternal Covenant. I find this quite intriguing. The pretty art style captivated me a lot. I'm not sure why I find this interesting. I suppose it's because it's quite different from the usual BL series that I see. I'm hoping the story will be as good as it appears. At number 8 is Be My Villain. It's not often for me to see a main character having two dads that are both overpowered agents. Cool. The storytelling is kinda, awkward though. Not sure how to explain it. That's the best description I can give. Anyway, the interactions between the main character and the male lead are kinda cliche, but At number 7 is The Legendary Spearman Returns. I think it has many similarities with this manhwa entitled The Return of the 8th Class Mage. This other manhwa has more comedy and more motherly love moments compared to this Spearman series. Although I like the other manhwa more, I still quite enjoyed this one. The side characters aren't so bad, and the misunderstandings like in this scene make me amused. At number 6, we have 100. This reminds me a lot of the Btoon manga. But thank goodness, this doesn't seem to have fan service. But since the beginning of the chapter looked too similar to other survival comics I've read, I almost gave up on this until I read the twist in the end of the first chapter. It was pretty unusual for me to see. Not to mention, the characters look so much fun. So far, an enjoyable read. At number 5 is Cry For Me, Crown Prince. There are cliché and tropes here and there, but it's unusual to see a fantasy series with the male lead being the one who has the magical tears. And although kinda dense, I welcome female leads who speak their mind. Anyway, this has been really cute. I'm liking it. Moreover, I'm quite tired of seeing romance series with regression or reincarnation or isekai, so seeing something like this is quite refreshing. At number 4, we have I Wasn't the Cinderella. There isn't really much Cinderella references on this one, but anyway, after you go past the chapter when the female lead doesn't know about her father yet, things here got very exciting. The male lead here, although he seemed to be the typical male lead, isn't really like that, though later he seems like that. I don't want to spoil it. Something about him took me by surprise, it's better if you just read to find out. Anyway, if you want to see strong female leads, as in someone who can do combat and can carry the male lead even, without the need for regression or reincarnation or isekai, then this is something you cannot miss. We have another fighting female lead in number 3, author of My Own Destiny. She's more of a mage than a soldier though. She transmigrated into the body of a villainess of a fantasy novel she had written herself. The novel she wrote was actually crappy. I'm quite disappointed that the author herself didn't know her characters very well. But it seems that she is aware of her misgivings and she knows that she had been writing crap. So, anyway, what's fun about this series are her interactions with her father figure and the male lead. Their relationship reminds me so much of the trio from the Father, I Don't Want This Marriage webtoon. Another really crazy thing about this webtoon is that usually, on webtoon that's based on a reverse harem novel, the main character gets the male leads of the original female lead, right? This one, however, also gets the girls, including the female lead herself. That cracked me up. At number 2, we have The Star Seekers. Oh, if you find the art style familiar, it's because it's done by the creator of Eleseed. Anyway, this is a fun surprise since I don't get to see much stories with idols having magical powers often. Much more when it's the main cast that didn't have such, well, at least at the beginning. Compared to the other 2 series that launched with it, on as early as chapter 1, we get to know more about the main cast and the dilemma they are facing. And despite some cliche from time to time, it's going to show you something unusual later. I'm also very pleased that there's some character development in the early chapters already. Moreover, it's easier to become attached and to care for the main characters. I love them all already, even the new supporting character. Not to mention, this one had a lot more comedy and fluff. Oh, I really find this so enjoyable. At number 1 is not really a webtoon series. This one is created as an advertisement for the Samsung Galaxy Z3 phone. And it's called Sarah, I'm Sorry, Welcome to Our Galaxy. But this is going to be a really touching read for fans of the main webtoon, which is Mom, I'm Sorry. In this spin-off, the sad events in the main webtoon didn't happen. So, seeing what could have happened in an alternate reality is something fans cannot miss. Since I'm a huge fan of the main series, this spin-off naturally became the most significant new series that launched recently for me. So I guess you can say that this is number 1 out of slight bias. So, if you haven't read the main webtoon yet, it's not advised to read this one as it contains some spoilers and you'll have trouble relating to it. Therefore, you have to read the main webtoon as soon as you can. It's so underrated for some reason, but it's well written and has better characters compared to a lot of crap out there. Last but not the least, although these titles didn't end up in my reading list, I do acknowledge that they're pretty good and interesting. Some of them are the types I would normally like even. There's just something about them that makes me not really care about what happens next. Anyway, it might be different in your case. So, if any of them caught your attention, do give them a try and enjoy. I hope I had helped you discover a new favorite. To be up to date with the newly launched series from various official platforms, I suggest that you click the subscribe button. I create a video for them at least once a month. And as always, likes, shares, and comments will be highly appreciated. See you in the next video. Bye!